For joining us today. Today's topic is going to be about unveiling the future of technology for the food and beverage industry with our partner, SimplyFood. Today, our speaker will be Keith Barr, the Director of Business Strategy at SimplyFood. My name is Emily Perez. I'm the Marketing Manager at Ativo. If you have any questions throughout the session, please feel free to drop them in the chat and we'll go through them at the Q&A portion at the end. And you can also always email us at marketing@ativoerp.com for any other questions. So if you don't know us yet, here's a little bit about the Ativo Group. We are a consulting firm and value-added reseller for a variety of ERP solutions and add-ons. We work primarily in the manufacturing, distribution, and e-commerce industry. And we have 3 offices located in Irvine, California, in Conyers, Georgia, and Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. We've also been in business for over 30 years now, and one of our specialties is providing business process assessments to business owners and CFOs in need of business optimization and financial control. So I'd like to introduce the reason why we're all here today, our partner SimplyFood. So why do we partner with them? SimplyFood provides the robust Acumatica connection for the food industry that many of our customers seek. SimplyFood offers an all-in-one solution, including production, forecasting, inventory management, EDI, and quality management. Their seamless food application is geared specifically towards small and mid-sized food processing, co-packing, and e-commerce customers. And they've built a very strong presence in the food production industry due to their reliability, security, and scalability. Lastly, they work directly from Acumatica's top-rated cloud ERP platform, which allows them to provide the highest level of security measures to their clients. And with that said, I'd like to introduce Keith Barr today. He's the Director of Business Strategy at SimplyFood.
Thanks, Emily. Good morning, good afternoon to all of you, depending on where you are, I guess. I just want to reiterate, thanks a lot for joining us today. I'm going to show you a little bit about how SimplyFood powered by Acumatica works. We will get to that, but to start, I wanted to share some information from a survey that we've been doing for quite some time. The point of this is I hope that you come away with an understanding that technology can do more for you than just track production, lot numbers, accounting, transactions, etc. All of that's important, but it's not the only thing that we can do with it. So I think this information from our survey will show you a little bit of that. So I'm just going to present a sampling of the results and give you a little idea of what significance those may have for you. The first slide here just gives one of the questions that we asked in our survey. And just to give you a little bit of information about that survey, we only asked one qualifying question, and that was, are you a primary buyer of food and beverage products in your household? That was the qualifying question. If they answered yes, then they could take this particular survey. So it was across the entire United States that we did this survey. So it was people from California to Massachusetts to Florida to Washington State actually participated in this particular survey. And so that's where we got these results from. So going with this first question of how important is the idea of sustainability in the food and beverage items that you purchase. This idea of sustainability has been gaining momentum for quite some time. I've noticed that there are a number of companies out there that are giving it some cursory service. I noticed the other day I had a food product that had a QR code on it that you could scan, and it took you to a website that gave you a lot of fluff about that corporation. But they didn't actually go anything beyond that. And recent surveys in the industry, not just ours, but there's been some industry analyst surveys that are starting to outline that that's just not good enough anymore. These consumers are very savvy, and they're seeking, they want to see data to back up that information. They don't just want you to tell them that you're good at something. They want to actually see that you walk the walk, so to speak. So another question that we asked here is, how important is the issue of food and beverage safety to you? Now, you would think this would be 100%, but apparently some people like to take the risk of eating gas station sushi. But the most respondents that we said, 99% of them said it was, and that seems pretty straightforward. Again, they're just wanting to see proof. That's what the rest of the survey showed out. The next question we asked, if you could be certain that a specific brand of food and beverage was completely safe to consume, 90% said that they would be more likely to purchase that brand. Again, this seems fairly straightforward, and you would think that that would be a logical response to this. There were 5% that said that wouldn't affect their purchase. Apparently, there's 5% that didn't know whether it would affect their purchase or not. But that's kind of the nature of surveys. And so we also asked this question, what specialty badges do you look for on food and beverage packaging when making a purchase? So this was not an exclusive question. You could check as many of them as you wanted to. We had a list of probably 15 that were on that list. These were the 4 that most people checked. So these are the items that they're looking for the most on the packaging when they actually go out to buy food and purchase that for their households. We just keep asking them to trust us. The one thing that we found in this is that they say that this is what they're looking for. They see that it's got a badge on it, but they're not really certain about what's behind that badge. That was what also came out again in some of our surveys and some other surveys as well. And with the rapid changes of technology around them, they're starting to wonder why they have to just keep trusting people on the food and that they're putting into their body. It's very important to them, and they want to see that information. And I think that's something that we can actually help them with. All right, so you may be wondering, hey, Keith, what does this matter? Why should I even care about any of this? And the short answer is because the consumers, your customers, care about it. So it's important. We ask a couple more questions here that really, kind of show that information, give you what you need to know, and should start to make you think about what you can start doing for customers. We ask if you could use a free app that gave you complete information about the safety of food and beverages you purchase. 93% of the respondents in this survey said that they would use this app. I think the survey had an error rate of plus or minus 3%. So that's a very high percentage that are saying, hey, if you just give us the technology to do this and you provide that data to us, we're going to use it. And then probably most importantly is the next question we ask: how willing are you to pay a premium for food and beverage items that can be verified at purchase as safe, sustainable, organic, all these things that they said they want to be able to do. And almost 80%, 79%, almost 80% said that they are willing to pay more, almost 80%. So I don't know how much each of you are spending on marketing right now, but I bet you're not getting that type of feedback from your marketing campaigns. Probably nobody is telling you they'll spend more because they saw your ad on a social media platform or something like that. So it's very important that we've got all this data tied up in a system like Acumatica and SimplyFood, and your customers are asking us to be able to see it. They'll pay more for your product if you give it to them. And I would bet there's no one on this webinar that's actually doing anything like that. So if you don't take anything away from this webinar besides what I just put here on the screen, I hope you at least see that using technology, it's not just an expense anymore. You can use technology to sustain your brand, to grow your brand, and also to charge people a little bit extra money because they're willing to pay for it if you tell them what's going on. And then we go back to kind of the natural reaction, which is just if you're providing this information for your consumers and your competitors are not, the natural reaction is to think, what is that competitor hiding that this person isn't hiding? So it just gives you a leg up when you're going out and actually competing with other people in the same space. So, the bedrock of this push to take advantage of any of the information that I just presented to you is you need to have an open ERP business software system as a starting point, preferably a modern cloud system like Acumatica. This is where all of that data that your customer wants to see resides, and we need to be able to easily get to that data. But equally important, that system has to handle your day-to-day operation load. And that's what we're going to focus on in the next part of this webinar. I'm going to give you a high-level demo of how SimplyFood works within Acumatica. So just a little information: SimplyFood is built solely on the Acumatica platform. We don't attach to any other ERP platform, and that is the backbone of the system, Acumatica. As you can see from this particular diagram, SimplyFood takes over the production portion within Acumatica, so you don't have to actually move up to the Acumatica Manufacturing Edition. where you get a lot of things in there. Probably 80% of that you probably are not going to use in food and beverage. It's just it's mainly for a discrete manufacturing operation. It can be set up to handle batch type operations, but it's not really specifically done for that. The beauty of a cloud platform, ERP platform like Acumatica, is we have all of these built-in connectors that allow us to extend the functionality using other cloud systems, excuse me. So as you can see here, if you want quality management tied into your ERP system, maybe we want that data. It's got some things that we want to present to those consumers out there. We can easily do that. That's already built into Acumatica. If you're using an e-commerce platform, if you're using Shopify or BigCommerce, or you're selling through Amazon, those connectors already exist within Acumatica. It's a native connector. We can connect to those very easily. If you're using EDI, if that's a big portion of your business, if you're selling to some of the big box stores, we've got connections there that are already built into Acumatica, and we can extend that functionality really, really easily. And so, as I just touched on the previous slide, SimplyFood handles the production functionality side within the Acumatica system. Some very tangible benefits of using SimplyFood. It gives you a lower upfront cost. We save some money up front, so maybe we can work on that app that we need for our consumers. It takes less time for us to deploy it, and ultimately it takes less time to administer and manage it after deployment, because it's a very easy system to set up. It's very easy for users to use, and it does exactly what we want to do, which is capture production, manage those lot numbers throughout the system. That's what we're most concerned about in food and beverage. We do have some customers that have moved off of large manufacturing platforms that saw significant ROI just by simplifying what they do each day to record production. So it's SimplyFood. We called it SimplyFood. We thought a lot about that name before we came up with it, and we wanted to make sure that the product fit the name. So it's simple to use, it's easy to use, it's doing exactly what we need without a lot of things that you're paying for that you don't need. So that's basically what I want to talk about that. I want to get into the demo a little bit. These are going to be some of the items that we're going to touch on after the demo. Afterwards, I'm going to try to save a little bit of time to answer any questions you may have. So you can go ahead and put those into chat or the Q&A right now, or as they come up as I'm going through this, and I'd be happy to answer those questions. But as we go through, I'm going to show you not only SimplyFood, but a little bit about Acumatica and how easy it is to use. We're not going to get deep into the weeds on that, but we are going to show you a little bit of that. So let me go ahead and switch over to my Acumatica and SimplyFood instance real quick, and we can get started. All right, so you should be seeing my screen here. This is actually showing you a dashboard view when you first come into the system. These dashboards are very, very configurable, so we can make them what we want them to do. This one we put together just to give you some ideas of what we could put onto a dashboard. So we can show tiles, we can show a list of data, we can show graphs, whatever you need to see, and we can have the data in the system, we can get it out and put it onto this particular dashboard. We're just showing a few here that might be of interest, and we'll take a look at a couple of those. So if I click on this items expiring within 2 weeks, you're going to see this is taking me to what's called a generic inquiry in Acumatica. It's a query of data that shows information you may want to see without having to go and run a report. It's dynamic, and it updates as data in this list changes. So you're going to see that we make good use of the GIs throughout this system. It's a very powerful tool, and we use it a lot in everything that we did with SimplyFood. Let's go back to the dashboard here. So you can see here at the bottom we have a list, and if you look right here, we have it's called in production. So these are statuses of the different production orders that we have. It's showing the ones that are out of a scheduled status, where they're at in this particular workflow. And then right below that, you'll see we have a scheduled production. That's the ones that are scheduled, but we haven't actually gone and picked anything. So this kind of gives you a quick view of what we have in production right now today, what we have scheduled for production. You can see some of the dates are different because some of the data in the system is fairly old, but I think at least you get an idea of how that's going to work. So quickly wanted to take you to a stock item screen, and I'm going to look at this 16 ounce case. So this is out of the box Acumatica. This is just how Acumatica works. You can see how it's very well laid out. You have information at the top. You have your information at the bottom on the tabs that go across. So I was looking at a system the other day. I saw someone's system. They had all this information, sure, but it was all on one big page, and they had to scroll all the way down. And he spent 20 minutes looking for one item that he wanted to find. So this puts everything into a tab type of a form so that you can get to it very quickly. You can see that we have some information here on our unit of measures, so we can change unit of measures. Maybe we stock by a case, we can sell it by the each, something like that. And it's pretty much unlimited what we can do there, because we have this conversion section at the bottom where we can convert all that over. So this just gives you some information on this particular setup. If we go across, we can see here's our price and cost information. There's warehouse information that's located here. We don't buy this item, we make it, so there's nothing in vendors. We can have attributes. So we have a food badging attribute. We can make it required where we have to check that for these particular items. There's just a lot of information that goes across. And just quickly, I wanted to show you on the right-hand side here, you're going to see a screen that we actually will pop out. These are side panels in Acumatica. We also use these throughout the system a lot as well. So you notice that I didn't migrate off of this page over here. I'm still on the mild 16-ounce case stock item page. But I was able to pull up a sales price page on the on this pop out here that shows me, I can see here. So for instance, I've got customer pricing set up for these two customers. They have a different price code, and then I have a couple of prices set up for distribution with a price break in there. So I can just quickly see the prices that I have for this particular item. And there's some other items over there as well. We won't go into everything, but just wanted to show that for you real quick. Another feature in Acumatica is I have this universal search here at the top. So if I start typing something here, so I want to go to show you the lot serial classes. So I type lot there, it brings it up. I can click to it very quickly. This is kind of the backbone of SimplyFood. Acumatica already had this as a feature in their software, and it allowed us to develop SimplyFood very quickly. So you can see that what we're doing here is we have different setups for lots. We can change any of these we want to, but this first one here is user interval. So if it shows up on a pick list as user interval, it means that the user tells us what they picked, and we put that information into the system. The next line down we see is lot FIFO. So this is issued by first expiration, first out. So the system's going to automatically pick the next expiring product and tell you this is the one you need to go pick to use, because it's going to be expiring the quickest. We have FIFO, which is first in, first out. This one down here, we're doing it by FIFO first, and then we're looking at expiration date. So if we had some material that arrived on the same date, but it's different lot numbers and different expiration dates, then we're going to look at the date that it arrived first, and then we're going to pick the fastest expiring one out of that particular one. So this is really powerful. It makes it very easy for us to, like I said, to develop SimplyFood, and we use this throughout the system. So quickly, I want to go to recipes. So everything in SimplyFood starts from a recipe. You may know it as a bill of materials. It's the exact same things as we try to use recipe because that's something that some of our customers use. So this is just showing you a list of those recipes along with different information about the recipes, such as if we have multiple revisions, which shows up in this column, or if we have a different production area, default production area that we make this particular item in. We can show the economic batch quantities. We're going to see that in a minute, and on the recipe itself. And we can even have days to expiration. So it says if we produced it on this day, it's going to count out that many days for that particular product, and that's going to be the expiration date that it gives to that product once we make it. So I'm going to go ahead and click on one of these. I'm going to go to my mild 16-ounce case. So again, this is just the bill of materials that shows how we're going to be making this particular product. Some things to note on this screen are that we do have that economic batch quantity, which is right here. You can change that. It's just telling us that's the typical amount that we try to make when we do a batch of this particular product. We have days for expiration. Again, we explain that. Down here in the bottom, we have the line items of the raw materials that we're going to use to make that. So you can see here we have component quantities are in this category. We can sort that if we need to. Any of these we can sort. We also have a waste percentage. I just wanted to quickly talk about that. So you can see this item down here, which is our lids that go onto the top of the cup. We call the component quantity calls for 6 of these. Obviously, we make a package of 6 as a case. But for whatever reason, every time we try to make this, we notice that we need more lids than we actually use. We don't want to change that component quantity in the recipe. We want to be able to compare that variance each time we do it. But when we pick it, we want to go get more than 6 per case because we know we're going to use more than that. So this is going to multiply that waste percentage times that component quantity when we actually go to the to production and tell us that we need to go pick that amount. Another item to point out here, non-stock components, we have labor. This is going to be standard labor costs is what we use in SimplyFood. If you need to collect actual labor costs as you're going through and making this, it's not really set up to do that. So this is something that we're typically making all the time. We know exactly how much time it's going to take us to make it. And we can go ahead and put that labor cost in there, whatever amount we need to. We can also do things like pallets here as well. So that's going to show us how that works, and we can use that without actually having to keep that into stock, so to speak. So if we go back to our stock components, I just wanted to point out in this particular case, the mild 16-ounce case is consuming down here at the bottom. It shows that we're making the material, we're making the salsa itself, a big batch of it, and then we're going to package it all in one production order. So it's gonna show this as a single recipe as the way we're going to show this. If we go back and we look at pull up another recipes, this hot 16-ounce case. So this is hot salsa. We're doing this one differently. So you'll notice down here we have a hot salsa batch. So in that case, we're making the batch ahead of time in one production order. Maybe we're making 2,000 pounds of it, and we're going to use 1,000 pounds or whatever it happens to be to make this hot 16-ounce case product. Maybe we have a gallon of this product that we make as well that goes to food service industry. So we can make a big batch of it, and then we can separate it out into different packaging. So you only see that batch and then the packaging components on this finished good item. So just wanted to pop in and show you the recipe component detail. This is that hot 16-ounce case of salsa that we just took a look at. These items over here in this component ID that are highlighted in yellow, those are going to be sub-assembly items. So these are things that we make up ahead of time. A lot of people make their preserve bags or they make spice bags ahead of time. And then we're making that batch up ahead of time as well. And then this is going to show you the items that actually go in this particular column in recipe. Whoops. What's that? This is the items that actually go into that hot salsa batch. This is the items that go into the spice bag and so on and so forth. And then we're rolling up costs. You can see I think my labor cost on my hot salsa batch is not correct. It's obviously not going to cost us $2,200 to make a case of salsa. So, but it does give you an idea of what that extended cost is for this item in this particular view. Again, making use of the generic inquiries within Acumatica. All right, so when we go to a production order, and again, we see generic inquiry again, right? We're using these this list of data that gets us to information that we want to see very, very quickly. So I'm going to open this one here on top, this production order 73. It's been released, so it's closed. Everything has been closed out on this one, but I want to go through it and show you some of the things that we talked about a little bit off of the recipe. Note here that the produced quantity actually exceeded the planned quality over here on the right. So we had a production yield higher than what we expected. It could be lower than that as well, but you enter that in based on the productive quantity that you actually produced, and then we can compare it to planned. Note that also that we had to change. If we look down here on the 16-ounce lid, we were supposed to use 1,260 of those. Right down here, we actually used, we didn't use more than those. Which one did we use more? Oops, it's right here. This is in the cup, sorry. So we were planning to use 1,200 of these cups. We actually used more than those, so we had to change that for whatever reason. We had to use 1,230 of them. So we captured that information in the production order so that we can include it in the cost as we go forward. So if we take a look up here at these menus, these are grayed out because this particular production order has already been completed. But we have some workflow statuses that we can take it through. So it starts in scheduled. We can take it to start picking, and that's where we actually can go out and pick certain items. We don't have to pick everything. We can go pick some of it. Maybe we don't have all the items that are there that we need, but we can pick some of those items and start bringing them to the floor to work with or stage them somewhere. From there, once we've got everything picked, we can put it into a pick status. This lets the whoever's planning production know that everything is here and we can start production on that particular item. From there, we go to a start production, and then that's where we start putting in the information, like how much of this components that we're using, how much we actually produced. All of that goes in at that particular time. So wanted to show here, we've got some reports here at the top that I wanted to show for this particular item. Since it's been completed, we can do a cost report on that particular production run. So again, it's showing us the extended cost of everything going out, how much that actually did, and gives us a total for what it took for us to create that particular run of salsa. We created a quantity of 205 of these. And another one report that exists there is this variance report, which gives you some of the same information, but it compares planned, which is in this column right here, with what it actually took, and it gives us a variance. So if you look over here, here's those 30 extra cups that we talked about. It's a cost of $3.30. So we actually had an overrun of $3.30 on that particular production. All right, so let's start a new production. I'm going to open this in a new tab, which we can do very easily because it's a cloud-based system. And we can get to there a number of different ways, but from here, I'm just going to click the plus button, which takes me to a new production order. We have people that import these orders as well. So it's however you want to be able to do it. It's up to your preference. In this case, I'm going to select that mild 16-ounce case. So again, it pulls in all the information. Here's my planned quantity. I can't do anything with actual quantity because I'm in a scheduled status, as you can see up here. But I can change this planned quantity. So it pulled in that economic batch quantity. And if you look at this column right here, you'll see when I change that quantity to say 300, the planned quantity changed as well. So we can change that very easily, however we want to be able to do that. So I'm going to start picking for this particular item just to take you through and show you a couple of things. So once we get to picking, you can notice over here on the right, it's pulled in lot numbers. So any of those items that were lot FIFO or lot FIFO, it's telling you, I want you to go get this lot serial number. It's the next one in line. I want you to go find it. These items that say split, those are user intervals. So we have to tell them when we go pull that, what we pulled for those particular items. So I want to just quickly take you back to this production list. Back to it here. There we go. So this is that new production order I just put in. This is production order 83. You can see that the status changed. It started out in scheduled. The status changed. It went into the pick in progress. So as you go through and you change these statuses, it would show you all that information. And just real quickly, I wanted to show you a little feature in Acumatica. So this is one of those generic inquiry lists that we talked about. So I can actually filter this very easily. I just add this. I say I want all the items where the status equals picking in progress. I can save that. It's going to ask me to give it a name. So I'm going to name it picking in progress. Tell it okay. Now, when I apply it, if you look up here at the top, it's going to add a tab. So once I apply it, it adds this tab up here that says picking in progress, and it's filtered all that information that was on my all records, and now just shows me the items that I have as picking in progress. I can do that throughout all of these generic inquiries. So I can really filter these things down to what I want to see, and take away the things that I don't want to see. So just another easy part of Acumatica that works really, really well for all of our customers that we have. So let's go back to our production order. We could change this item. I'm not going to take this all the way through, but if we once we've selected all of our items, we would move it to picked. Then we would move it to in production, and then we would release it like you saw in that previous one, and that closes everything out after we enter all the information. But in the interest of time here, I want to get into to show you the material demands. So material demand, again, instead of this being a big report that you have to run overnight or it takes a long time to run, we put all this into this generic inquiry, which can update and refresh as you need to see it. We have a couple of those tabs that I said we have items that we buy. And again, this is doing a couple of things. It's filtering out everything that has a 0 in the buy or make column. So we don't need to see that if we don't need to buy or make it. In this case, this is what we need to buy to be able to do our production that we've got going in the system. And then we have another tab here that says make. So these are our sub-assemblies. These are our finished goods that we actually have to go and make. And so again, it's filtered out everything that has a 0 in that column from make or buy. It's just showing us the things that we need to make and buy. If we go through that, so you can see here, hot 16-ounce case. I could show you the preferences. It's showing up in 2 places. I don't have a warehouse column on here, but these are 2 different warehouses. That's why it's showing in 2 different places. If we take a look, just real quickly, I'll take you to material demand preferences and show you how that's happening. I've got this box checked down here. This is I want to see warehouse detail. If I uncheck that and I save it, and then I go back to that screen, let me go back to it again. So now you can see it's combined everything into all the warehouses have been combined into one. So it's just showing me demand across all warehouses. So if you look at this is our open order quantity is 3,460. We have 2,755 on hand. We need 705 that we're short. So that's our final demand. We have production supply. So we've got production orders in the system to make 380 of these. So that leaves us with a buyer make of 325. We need to make 325 of these to actually, or we're going to be short. And if I quickly go over here again, side panel, I can see the sales order components. So these are all the items of the hot that are making up that 3,460 that we see over here in this particular column. Likewise, if I want to see what's making up that 380 in the production supply, I can look at the production orders here as well, and I can see that that's what we have scheduled to make for that particular item. So again, just nice features that help you get through the system very, very quickly and see one thing as opposed to the other. So if I go back to my buy, this is kind of a nice, if I look at this box, the 6x16 box, I need to purchase 805 of these. I don't have anything on PO as I can see in this column, but I can go to my purchase orders in progress on the side panel. Actually, that's the production order, sorry. Just go to purchase order details. And from here, I can actually hit my plus button and I can start a purchase order directly from the screen. So again, I don't have to migrate off of this screen. I don't have to remember the quantity. I can see it from right here and I can actually start creating the purchase order from here. Just a couple of other things, a couple of other ways to look at this material demand that we want to show here is so right here I have a finished goods weekly demand. So a lot of people want to see it based on a week, and this gives you kind of a very high level overview of where you're going to be short. So these are our inventory items that we make. We have an on-hand quantity, the demand through this week, the production this week, and so it shows us when we're going to be. If we have a green, we're good. If it's red, we're going to be short. So we're going to be. That's where we're on that hot 16-ounce case. We're going to be short 325 of those, and that carries on through the weeks until we actually put in a production order to make it. Likewise, some people want to see it on a daily basis. So I can show you this on a daily basis as well. What this is doing is it's doing a similar calculation as what we just saw with a weekly. Same thing on hand, anything that's overdue for demand and supply. And then it breaks it out each day, where you have demand and where you're going to be short. So if it's turned red, you need to create some supply. So again, just very quickly giving you an idea of where you need to create that production. And then finally, the last one I wanted to show you is this order fulfillment report. This is gets used a lot. A lot of customers like it. Whoops, let me go back and I'm going to run this a different way. So that was a summary. I'm going to see it in detail on the report. So what this is doing, so if we just look at this hot 16-ounce case item again that we show down here, your first two columns here are showing that in the Austin warehouse and the main warehouse, you have 2,755 of those currently in stock. You can see the order quantities that are coming in. So these are sales orders that we have coming in that are starting to deplete that inventory, and you have a running total over here on the right. So you can go down here and you can see on 1/2/2024, again, the dates are a little off. For this Kroger order for 1,500, we're going to be short 240 of those. So we need to start thinking about making some product before we get to that where that becomes a problem. So it's just a very quick overview to show you how these orders are going to affect the amounts that you need to make. And then I also wanted to show the track and trace functionality. I'm going to do a little bit of cheating because I have some lot numbers over here that I know I'm going to use. I'm going to go use that mild 16-ounce case. Just copy and paste that lot number real quick. And we're going to take it back a year just to make sure that we're grabbing all the information. We're not sure exactly when we made it, but somebody has said that this is not good, and we need to see where it went. So this shows that mild 16-ounce case. This is that lot number I just put in. It shows that we got a production order on 6/12/2023. That's how much of what we made was 203 cases of it. It's showing down here. It's doing a balancing. So what it's doing is it's showing how much we made. It's subtracting off how much we've actually shipped out to customers, and then it's actually showing you the remainder. So we should have 53 of these in stock so that we need to go and grab as well. And then if we look at page 2, it's going to show us where those invoices or where those shipments went to. So in this case, one of them went to the Kroger company, one went to Jill's Organic. It gives you the contact information so we can quickly grab that. This is something that if you have people that come in that are doing inspections, they typically want to see this, and they want to see a balance. They want to know exactly where everything actually went. So we also want to just quickly show that. If you go back, I'm going to pull it up again. We'll do that same mild 16-ounce case with that same, and I'm going to do a backwards lot traceability. So in this case, it would be somebody's called in and said, hey, something happened with this particular product. It's not good. We may think that maybe it's a raw material in that product that's causing us a problem. So we run that report again. It's going to show us again that production line, and then it shows me all of the items that went into that production of that particular lot, and it shows all the lot numbers that we've used. So we might say, okay, the jalapeno we think that was the bad, we think that's the culprit. So we need to find out everywhere that jalapeno went into. So again, if I go back to my track and trace, and I pull up my jalapeno, jalapeno item, and I'm going to cheat a little bit and copy and paste that lot number. And I say, go back again, change that date, and run that report. What it's going to say is, okay, this is for this jalapeno, this is the receipt that it came in on, this is how much we received. This is a running total of everything that we used in production for that jalapeno and what it went into. Again, so we made some mild 16-ounce, we made some hot salsa batch with that as well. And then that hot salsa batch went into our finished goods of the hot 16-ounce case. So we have production of that and some issues, invoice issues for that as well. And again, if we flip over, we can see everywhere that that product was sent, so we can very quickly contact those people and let them know that there's a recall on that particular item. So it's very easy to use. It gets you the information that you want to see, I think. A little bit of time, so just real quickly, I'm going to go in and show you another thing that we have built primarily if you're using co-packers. So in a co-packer situation, you're usually giving a purchase order to that co-packer. They send you material back, you receive that material in. But in this case, maybe the co-packer has the raw materials that are going into whatever happens, and you've provided him with the packaging it needs, or the packaging components. So you still own that. It exists at his warehouse. He puts it in there and ships it back to you, and you get all you get is a purchase receipt as it comes out. So if I take a quick look at one of these purchase receipts, I'll give you an idea of what we can do. So if I look at this purchase receipt 008, you can see it's for the vendor is Co-Manking, so it's our co-manufacturer that's making this particular product. It's our hot cocoa mix. We placed an order for 350. They sent us 100 of them, and we need to we receive that in. So we can check that particular line in this particular receipt, and we have a button here that we've added in. This is SimplyFood, so everything else you see is Acumatica. This would be SimplyFood to create production. And what that does is it creates a production order. You can see this hot cocoa mix is in your WIP location and your co-manufacturer. We still own the scoop and the cocoa container. That's the part that's our inventory, and we need to relieve that inventory off of what's happened. So again, it takes you straight to this production screen. It's actually supposed to bring in this quantity here. It didn't. That should come in from the receipt, so I need to double check that. But from here, we can start production. We close it out. When we close it out, we get a transfer option, because this is making it into the co-manufacturer warehouse, and then we can transfer it directly to our warehouse where it's actually going to go. And it takes care of all the accounting transactions automatically in the back end for you. So you don't have to do anything else. You don't have to bounce around to a bunch of screens. You can just very quickly make sure your inventory is correct. The first thing. The second thing is that you get a lot of good information from them. So that's what I had to show. So as I said at the beginning, I just want to give you some insight on how it works. Hopefully you're able to get a better feel for the basics. I know there's a lot more to show, and it would take a lot longer than 45 minutes to do that. But if you want to see more, you're happy to talk to the folks at Ativo. They'd be happy to show you some more, and they can get me involved if I need to. So I think we're ready to take any questions that we might have, Emily, if you want to do that.
Yeah, of course. So the first question that came in was, can the BOM/recipe substitute items in the BOL? For example, if red peppers are the preferred, can green peppers be used if red is unavailable?
It can, yes, and I can show you real quickly here. Just we'll go back to the recipe. And if we look at that mild salsa, you can see that for these items, for tomato bulk, I've checked, I can allow a component substitution. So if I don't have, let's say I don't have enough tomato bulk, I'm going to use canned tomatoes or whatever for my salsa today, I can actually add that item in place of this tomato bulk.
Keith, can you hear me? Sorry, I think my video cut out for 1 second.
Yeah, I can hear you, yes.
Okay, great. Okay, so next question is, we have extensive documentation requirements from FDA, SQF, and others. How does your solution address these?
So typically that would be addressed. I would recommend that we go with a QMS system in that case. I don't have it set up to show it on this demo system, but all of that would be they have a document section there where they can handle all of that, and you can collect all of that data and provide that to whoever happens to be. We're working with a dairy company. They're not actually using SimplyFood, but they are using the quality portion. And they have a lot of requirements for USDA where they have to provide information like how much butterfat, what the percentage butterfat is that they take out and leave into those products, and what they have to track that very, very carefully. So that's being handled inside the QMS system.
Great. The next question is, in the work order or production order, does it show what is available and what defines available?
It does. So you can see that very, very easily if you go to that particular screen. It'll show you the availability. Let me just let's actually just go back there. Oops. So if we go back to our production order, look at this one that we started. So if I highlight, say, jalapeno, you can see down here at the bottom, there's this information at the bottom that shows me my on-hand quantity, my available quantity, available to issue. All that information is there. If I switch to cilantro, it changes, so I can very quickly see that. I also have a side panel here, so I can click on this component availability, and that's going to show me everything that I have that I have in stock for these particular components, so I can see if I'm short on anything or unable to make this product today.
The next question is, can I make the material demand only look at production orders scheduled as of next week and not look at actual customer orders?
Sure. You don't have to look at customer orders. We could take that out if you're making for stock or something. You could also have a forecast order in there as well. That goes back to this material demand preference screen that I showed very, very briefly. So I have a checkbox here to include sales orders, or I can exclude those. I can also choose to include transfer orders or not. It kind of depends on if you're. So we have a company that's actually does their own delivery for DSD, and so they're using their trucks as warehouses, and so they want to include those transfer orders in the demand calculation. So, but you can check it on and off as you need to.
Next question is there a shortage report for raw materials needed in production?
I believe that there is. If there isn't right here that I have, like, we can certainly create one of those. I think we've created one for somebody else. I don't see it in this system, but it's fairly easy to do. We have all that information. We can get that.
Next question, can you share a recording of this presentation? Yes, we will be sending out a recording of the presentation or any of the slides that you'd like afterwards. So just watch out for that in your inbox. Next question is, how do you integrate with BC Solutions?
Sorry, who was that again?
How do you integrate with BC Solutions?
I'm not familiar with BC Solutions.
Barcoding.
Oh, barcoding. So that's a good question. So one of the things that is on our roadmap to handle going forward is we're planning to add that in. One of the things we had to do in place of that was get those the in picking status and the pick status in place, which allowed us to plan for that. We have a customer right now that just went live in December that is going to want us to do that. So we've kind of been holding off on getting the barcode scanning where you can scan material. Our ideal is to have, if we have the barcodes available, is to scan. It'll pull in the stock item, it'll pull in the lot number, everything from that one barcode, if we do have a GS1 barcode. So that's our plan going forward. That's definitely on our roadmap for this year. We now have a customer that we can work with on that, so we're going to be putting that in. We ran into some issues with a lot of customers that want to do it. They just don't have the barcodes available, and they don't want to actually print the barcodes up front. So this is the first one we've had that wants to do it, and we were just kind of holding off until we had that.
Great. We have time for a couple more questions. So how often do you survey food and beverage consumers?
So that particular survey that we have, we did it, I believe it was in 2020, early 2020. So right before the pandemic was the first time we did it. And then we actually did it again in early 2022. We're putting one together that we'll probably do in 2024 as well. And we try to keep some of the same questions on there so we can see if some of those things change. But then we add some additional questions as we find out new new issues or new things that are hot in the industry that people might want to know about. So we also had some information in that survey about e-commerce, which is kind of interesting. So if you want any of that information, I'd be happy to provide you with the last survey that we did.
Great. When you're making several items over a calendar and many call for the same ingredient, how do you know which have sufficient quantities? Do POs impact that availability figure?
POs would impact that availability. So if we go back here and quickly look at that material demand. So we have these buy items here. You can see that we have open POs that are in this, and we can again change the outlook. How far we're looking is changed in that material demand preferences. So PO supply days, we want to see it 30 days out. We may not want to see something that's 60 days out because it doesn't really affect us. Most of the stuff in food and beverage happens fast. Same thing on sales and production demand and production supply. So it's dictating what the numbers we select here is dictating how those reports that I showed you, how those are pulling up the information and how far out they're looking.
Two more questions. Do you have any examples of customers or companies that are using technology in the same manner that you've described in this presentation?
None of our particular customers are using it. I'm doing some of this presentation to them as well, trying to talk to them about that. I did recently, I just read not too long ago, it was actually a few months back, but there is a company that I read an example about that's in Europe. I believe is a poultry company. They were putting a QR code on there. Of course, they have to label everything because they're weighing it, right? So everything has its own specific label, so it was easier for them to do. But they were putting a QR code on their products that the customer could scan. They could take a look at that and see what they where the poultry was, what farm it came from, what day it was processed. They even had information like the beginning and the ending temperature for the truck that delivered that poultry to the store was on that information as well. So there's a lot of different information. The interesting thing I think that it really came out of that was they were a little bit amazed at how fast the adoption rate was. So they created their own app for that, and they just advertised it on their product, and people were adopting that very, very quickly. And they also saw a very rapid increase in business that kind of mirrored that adoption rate increase. And probably the most interesting is they were the most expensive option at the store that they were in. So they saw that giving the customers this information was actually working well for them.
Awesome. Last question. So what does SimplyFood have on the roadmap for future development?
That's the primary, the one that we have for 2024, I think is that barcode scanning that we talked about. So that's the big one that's coming up. A lot of people are asking for that. We do have every single customer usually has a little something that they want to add, and maybe it's not something that every one of our customers would use. But it's fairly easy with an open system like Acumatica to make those little changes to fit whatever process that you need it to fit. It doesn't affect a lot. We try to be as less invasive as we possibly can into the system and use as much as Acumatica gives us. But that's kind of where we're going. We don't want to grow this out to where it becomes as expensive and as big and as difficult to deploy as a regular manufacturing system. So we're going to try to keep that core really nice, but we are going to add some functionality as we see it come through from different customer requests.
Awesome. Well, that is all the questions that we have time for today. We're going to end a couple minutes early. Just want to say thank you all for joining us today. We had a great time. I hope that everyone got some valuable insights from SimplyFood. If you have any questions and want to chat more about SimplyFood or contact Keith, you can reach out to us at marketing@ativoerp.com. And thank you.
Thanks, everyone.